So, the topic of influence, especially online, by people online and by companies, has been a really big topic for the last few years, and I've been seeing it a lot more like recently. And I just wanted to give my 2 cents because I feel like I have a different experience than most of the people that talk about influencing. Because, like, the main image of influencing is like white women, mostly white women, also black women, any women, cis women buying shit to make themselves beautiful, to make their lives easier with minimal like help products that don't actually do much, like prettying up your house, getting matching clothes, whatever. Like there's also heavy influencing in men, although I think their influences are a lot more ideas rather than products, although they obviously have products too. Like if you get into like weight training or exercise at all, there's all this stuff where they're like, you should use this protein powder or you should use this blah blah blah. But I'm mostly going to be talking about like the shopping part of it, not the idea part of influence. So I'm gay. No one would have guessed that. But I've always felt like I was excluded from this conversation. Like I never felt like I personally was easily influenced by other people. Also, I fucking hate like the tone that the word influence is taken because it's like you can just say like, "Oh, my friend influenced my choice." But it's like it feels different now. But anyways, I can't help that. That's what the word is. So whatever. I never thought that I had a super heavy tendency to be influenced by other people or by trends because, like, I was not buying random beauty products. I don't really care about the brand of my clothing. I don't really care about buying stuff new. I'm very much like a thrifting, like, whatever type person. And so, I felt like I was not the type of person who got influenced. I thought I was above that. I mean, obviously, I recognized in some way that I probably was getting influenced by other people because that's just what being human is like. But I really truly thought that I wasn't like that. And then, I realized I was like that, but it's just in different ways. And also, there's like, I thought that I wasn't easily influenced because I was a broke teenager. I didn't have a job, I didn't have money. So obviously, I was not able to just go buy whatever I wanted. But now I have money and like I've learned the types of things that I like to buy and I've noticed that, I do like to get things that I see. Right on my desk right here, I have a stylophone. I first saw people playing this on like Instagram Reels and they were very cheap and I really love physical little instruments over like digital stuff. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to spend $35 and get this little thing. And I don't regret it. I think I got it like a month ago, a month and a half ago, and I genuinely play with it like every day. Like I don't I don't think it was a bad decision, but I did only get that thing because I saw people repeatedly playing with it online. And like that's the other thing for me that made me feel like I was not someone who was easily influenced is because I'm not like I do make impulse purchases, but I have a pretty good grasp on like what I'll actually use or what I want to use and like whatever. And I'm also very like money focused in the way that like I do not let myself buy something and then not use it. Like even if I stop using it after a few months, like when I first get it, I have to use it. I'm not the type of person to give something up after a week. But like it's still like kind of a cycle like that. Like if I'm repeatedly buying stuff and only using it for a few months, like that's just like the same thing but on a slower scale. And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm also not saying it's bad to pick new things up because like I'm an artist. I've tried not every, but I've tried a lot of different forms of art, a lot of different mediums, a lot of little craft things. And sometimes they just don't stick and that's fine. And like you shouldn't be ashamed of that. But like I am being influenced by trends I see online and making decisions based off of it. Um, a very obvious example to me in hindsight is if you are on the internet in like fandom spaces, there's always like an art style that's pretty popular at any given time. When I first started being online, it was like the Sonic art style. Like I actually wasn't into Sonic when I was a kid, so I didn't even realize it was Sonic. But like a lot of people drew like Sonic. Sonic 99 Ray, if anyone remembers her, like a lot of people drew like that. And I thought it was so cool and I wanted to draw like that so bad. One of my friends drew like that and she drew my OC, and like it's still my profile picture on one of my backup emails to this day, like 10 years later, because I thought that shit was so cool, and it's tough, and I'm not changing it. But I've always been in favor of whatever the popular art style was. When I was in middle school, that was like Animal Crossing noses, X's on the ears, little rosy cheeks, whatever. I wanted to draw like that, and I did draw like that. And then, like, when I was in high school, there wasn't as much of a name or as discussed of a phenomena on what this art style was, but there was just a certain, like, it was like semi-realistic. There was a certain way the eyes were drawn that were very like simplistic, and like it was a lot of like slightly emo, like edgy drawings, but they weren't like straight up like as edgy as a lot of the 2000s art styles were. And I was into that, and I drew like that. And then most recently, things like screen tones and like the rake brush got super popular. I use those all the time. I love to draw with those. And so it's like, obviously, I am influenced by other people. I'm influenced by what the popular art style is. And I do, of course, make decisions separate from this. Like, when I was younger, I really wanted to draw in like the purest form of those art styles, and I couldn't, and it made me so sad. Like, my art still looked like my own, and there were still things that I did that didn't fit into that popular art style, and I wanted to so badly. But now I don't see that as a bad thing. Like, I know that my art has its little quirks that, as much as I try to draw like the prominent thing right now, it's not going to happen, and that's fine. But that's the other thing that convinced me that I was not someone who is easily influenced, is because I do have a lot of interests and such that are not mainstream whatsoever. A lot of music I like, a lot of my academic interests. I'm a very academic person. I love linguistics. I love history of the whole world, but for the last like 2 years, I've been really into Africa, and I've read like a lot of African books and a shit ton of stuff online. And those sorts of things, like, I don't have any African history friends. There's no African history trends online. So I was like, I'm my own person. I'm independent. I don't get influenced. But I do get influenced because I own like so many brands of paint markers. Like, I think I own 5 different brands of paint markers, and they were all really cheap. But you know, paint markers were a trend. It started on TikTok in like 2022, I think, maybe 2020. No, I think 2022. And I fucking loved it. And you know, this is like, I do not regret my decision to get paint markers, because paint markers fit my art style like more than any other medium. Even though I've always heavily preferred drawing traditionally over digital art, I've never found a medium that I liked coloring with. Like, alcohol markers, this isn't true anymore. I love alcohol markers now, but for most of my life, alcohol markers didn't fit me. I could not get them to work the way I wanted to. It didn't fit the type of the shading that I like to do. I always hated colored pencils. Didn't like pastels, like whatever, pens. I primarily colored with pens, and you know, coloring with pens doesn't look great, but it was the only one that I liked doing. But anyways, I was so happy when affordable paint pens became a thing, because before it was just Posca pens, and those are fucking expensive, and they're still expensive, and I have them, and they're good, but I don't prefer them over my other brands. But yeah, anyway, so paint pens becoming popular was a great thing for me, and it has made a lasting impact on my art. And I don't regret getting them. And I use my paint pens like every single week. Like, the reason I have gotten so many different brands of paint pens is because I use mine so much that they die and they run out of paint, and then I have to get new ones. And also because they're really cheap. I haven't paid more than $40 for a set of paint pens. But okay, the point is though, I got that from a trend. I did not discover paint pens on my own. I bought them at the peak of their popularity from the fucking TikTok shop, and you know, they made an impact on me. And this is the other thing that I think is like under discussed with influence from other people and like companies and whatever, is like, it's not inherently bad. Like, you can have very positive outcomes from it, at least in my case, because like I said, even though I have bought a lot of stuff when it was like peak trending, a lot of it, most of it, things that I buy stay with me for a very long time. I don't throw them out. I continue to use them. They impact how I live my life. And I think if you're living like that, You know, like that's just the age we're living in. We're living in an age where you find your favorite art supply because a bunch of people were talking about it on Instagram Reels. And I think it's really easy to like, I cannot think of a better word than demonize, but that's really the only word that's coming to my head. But that's a little bit dramatic. But anyways, I don't think it's helpful to like criticize. Well, criticism is always good. You can always criticize things, but I don't think you should demonize like just aspects of being alive right now. Sometimes where it's like inevitable. Like the truth is that before the internet, these things existed and you might have had a great time with them and you would have never found out about them ever in your whole life. And I don't think it's bad to get this hyper visibility and like see so many different things as long as you have a little bit of self control with it. And I think that's the big discussion about like influencing, especially with like woman influencing, normie woman influencing, cis woman influencing. They buy a fuck ton of stuff and promote it and then they don't even use it. And that's like the whole thing. And that's like a whole different criticism. But like, and that's true, but it doesn't have to be like that. You can be conscious of what you're getting and still like be influenced by other things. And also I'm always just like, I'm very wary of like ideas and like products, like apps or websites or things or subscriptions much more than I am of a product, like a physical product, you know? Like basically every single like YouTube sponsorship common thing that's ever existed, like that one that like CS:GO like gambling website, like BetterHelp. I see people talking about criticism of Ground News now, which like I like because the thing with like Honey, if you remember Honey, that was the coupon thing where like that gives you coupons for different websites. The thing about those is it's like they seem really good and then you think about it and you're like, how are they making money? Like what is the business in giving people discounts on random websites? And that's how Ground News was, where it's like there's something a little fishy here. There's something a little bit wrong. Something missing from the picture. But anyways, like those things I'm always way more cautious of than products because like products, you know, it's like a one-time purchase and oftentimes you can repurpose things. You know, like I got my paint pens with the intention to draw in my sketchbook, but I use them to write on random shit like boxes when I was moving. I've used them to make posters for stuff that I didn't like ever plan to or expect to need to. Whatever, blah blah blah. Like you can repurpose things. Like my stylophone, I can put it in whatever songs I make in many different contexts, and I can make silly little videos of me playing it. And like there's all these things I can do with it. But a subscription or like an app or a website or something, it's like I don't know. I don't know. Although like obviously there are things to be aware of with products, especially, you know, cheap products and the labor that goes into them and like the quality and whatever. But I just overall like I'm like I feel okay getting something because I saw it, okay? But also I love researching. I love researching and being like, is this the exact thing I need? But anyways, we're 13 minutes in. I haven't even gotten to the thing that actually made me want to make this video, which is that I have a friend who lifts weights, and that's not very common in my circles, you know? We're all like, that's not our concern. No one in my circles is lifting weights. But he went on T, and he's gotten buff as fuck, and he sends pictures, and I'm like, ugh, I want that to be me. So today, I went and got a little set of weights, and like, obviously, like, it's normal to go in and out of exercising. A lot of people pick up and drop exercising throughout their lives, especially at the influence of other people. And I did enjoy my weight training class I had in high school. So it's like, it's not like I'm just suddenly going into this thing, but it is like, yep, I did purely do that because my friends were doing it. And like, I realized I have a lot of things like that. I have a lot of things that I just did or got into or bought because my friends were doing it. And that's like the classic way of influence. I think that's a good way of influence, you know. You have someone who's vetted the experience, who can give you tips, and it's like more organic. It's not a company selling something to you, it's your friend. But I do have to feel cautious of it because I personally have made a lot of social decisions in my life based on other people that weren't really in my heart about what I wanted. Like, when I first started going to college, I had no clue what I wanted my degree to be. And then I met this guy who I had in my English class and my sociology class who was being a sociology major. And I loved him and I wanted to be him so bad. And I changed my major to sociology. And I do not, I mean, I care about sociology. I enjoyed my sociology class, but that's not what I'm into. That's not what I want to spend the rest of my life doing. And then, like, my current degree was heavily influenced by my dad because he's in the same industry. And now I'm graduating in December and I'm just not really sure, like, if I actually want to do this or not. And it's like, it's just, this video is more about just really investigating within yourself, like, what you want and why you want it. And that can just be a hard thing because it's completely normal. Like, you don't know about options in the world unless they're presented to you. Like, you have to hear about it from somewhere. And, like, so you hear about the major from your friend or from your parents, and that's fine. But I just personally have made a lot of decisions that I ended up going back on later because I made them purely because of someone else. And I think that's the real dangers of influence in that way, is like not thinking critically about what you want, why you want it. And that's why like buying products is so dangerous, because you can just, especially if you have a disposable income, you don't really have to worry about what you're getting. Like, you can just go buy random shit like online in person and then throw it away, and it doesn't really affect like your life. It's not like your life quality decreased. You might have had fun with that thing. You might see it as a worthwhile experience. Then you keep doing it and nothing really sticks, and you're not actually figuring out what you like to do. You're just buying to buy stuff. And that's why I like to be very intentional with my art supply purchases. I have a lot of art supplies. I have all my paint pens. And I have a complete set of Ohuhu markers, and then I have I don't remember what the company is. I think it's Mungyo oil pastels. Not a complete set. I think it's like a half set or a quarter set or something. But I have nice art supplies and I use them because I like before I got my Mungyos, which I think it was like I actually don't really know how much it was because it was a Christmas gift that I asked for. But I think it was like $80 or something for the 100 pastels I have. Before I had that, I had this absurdly cheap, like literally like $10 oil pastel set, and I used it obsessively, and I loved it. So I got a better set, and now oil pastel is one of my favorite mediums. Same thing for my alcohol markers. Like I said earlier, I've always hated alcohol markers, but like sometime last year, I just pulled out my old Sharpies that were like 7 years old, and I was just drawing with them, and I actually had a great time, and I was like, wait, this is kind of awesome. So I got my first, I think it was, I don't remember the exact number, I think it's 104 markers, is like one of the Ohuhu size sets. I got that one because it had a decent amount of colors. I think it was like $80, maybe $100. I don't know. But I got it because it had enough colors for me to make what I wanted, but there was still room to expand if I decided I wanted to get even more into the medium. I used those for a few months and I was like, fuck yes, I want more colors because I'm drawing with these like every week and I don't have enough colors. So then I got the 200, I don't fucking remember. It was a 200 set, I completed the set. Oh, and that was another thing. I made a very intentional purchase. I bought the 100 set because it had no overlapping colors with the 200 set, so if I decided to get that later, I wouldn't have any duplicate colors, which was not true with all the Ohuhu sets. There are some sets you can buy that have the same colors in them. So that's another thing, is like intentionality. Like, and when I choose my paint pens, all of my paint pen purchases, paint markers, whatever, have been very intentional with like, I got originally just like the 24 Grabby set, and I fucking hate Grabby, by the way. I can't believe they're the ones that popularized paint pens because I fucking hate their pens. But anyways, I got the 24 set, loved it, but that's almost no colors. If you're an artist, like 24 it might sound like a lot. It's not. That's like no colors. That's like one color and maybe another color you can shade it with. So then I got my shuttle marker set, which was 60 pens and also a Christmas gift. You see, I'm strategic. I just make my family give me these expensive art supplies. But I got the 60 set, and, you know, it was awesome. It filled in a lot of the color gaps I had. And then, like, my grabby pens, like, half of them stopped working, so I was out of a lot of colors, and I got another set that was really cheap, and it filled in a lot of color gaps. Like, my shuttle art markers were missing a lot of, I think it was greens. It was like greens and like reds. I didn't have a lot of variations of, so I specifically chose a paint pen set that had a lot of greens, had a lot of reds. And so now I have a very complete set of colors, and that's, you know, what the fuck am I even talking about? I'm just telling you about my art supplies at this point. But, you know, back to the point, I've made a lot of decisions in my life because I saw someone else make the decision. And it's a lesson I'm still learning. I'm 19, turning 20 in 2 months. And I still have a lot to learn about, like, taking other people's opinions and mixing them with my own and my own experience. And online can make that difficult. I have a lot of sympathy for girls, like cis women, like, who aren't of a gay persuasion or like a autistic persuasion, because it seems tiring. It seems tiring to have to care about all that. Like, to constantly be advertised to have your main, like, form of interaction online just be people selling you stuff and telling you how ugly you are and how you need this thing. Like, my sister, this was the other thing. I can't believe I didn't mention this. My sister is like a stereotypical girly girl, and I see her Instagram feeds, and I'm like, I can't believe this is real. This is the type of shit they were telling me in high school when they were like, don't let the internet give you false impressions of other people's lives. It's not as good as it looks. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Because my online experience was being on private Twitter with all of my mentally ill mutuals I made on Stan Twitter, and everyone would just talk about killing themselves. And so I was like, where is this glorification of life that you guys are talking about? But I see my sister's Instagram feed, and I'm like, oh. And the thing is, my sister doesn't even like that shit. Like, my sister likes beauty stuff, but she doesn't like the obsessive standards and, like, advertising that comes with it. And she always tells me I try to curate my feed so hard so that I'm not being sold shit and I'm just seeing, like, pretty people so I can get inspiration for myself. But it always creeps back in, and I'm like, that must suck. That must suck to not be able to escape that. But anyways, this is my video. Thank you for watching.